I hadn't missed a Saturday dinner in 14 years. Not once. Not even after 80-hour weeks at the firm. Not after late nights closing year-end reports. Not even during the summer I sprained my ankle and hobbled around on crutches. My father, Harold, always said I was the reliable one. The daughter who remembered birthdays, who brought fresh bread from the bakery, who always showed up. That evening, I drove 30 minutes to my parents' townhouse in San Diego with a pot of beef stew steaming beside me. I'd simmered it all day. The kind my dad loved. Tender beef, carrots, potatoes, and plenty of red wine. The scent of thyme and onions filled the car, wrapping me in memory. That smell always meant family. Their porch light glowed when I arrived. Soft amber spilled into the dusk, making it seem like someone was waiting. I parked carefully, avoiding Marcus's spot. He's my younger brother. He always claimed the space closest to the gate. I climbed the brick steps, the stew heavy in my arms, a practiced routine. Right, left, pause on the second step because it wobbled. I didn't ring the bell immediately. I was reaching for the handle when I heard my name. Melanie won't say a word. She never refuses family. Harold's voice. Quiet. Sure. I froze, my hand suspended near the door. Inside, voices echoed off tiles. My mother, Janice, sounded worried. But 200,000, Marcus? That's crazy. How did you even... It doesn't matter how, Marcus snapped. What matters is covering it before they look deeper. Then Harold again, calm. We will. Melanie just got promoted. Senior financial analyst in LA. She's probably making what, 140 now? The pot didn't shift in my hands, but something inside me did. I stayed perfectly still, as if moving might shatter everything. The door handle felt cold under my fingers. The stew was cooling in my hands, its heat slipping away through the ceramic pot. Inside, the voices kept rolling like I wasn't even there. Think about her bonuses, Marcus said. Probably more than 140. My mother Janice sighed. She's worked so hard, always has. There was a pause, then Janice spoke again, softer, as if to convince herself. We'll tell her it's for the roof. It's leaking, maybe 30,000. Then later, medical bills. Marcus cut in. Spread it out. She'll pay. She always does. Remember the business loan? 20 grand, Harold said. No questions. Never ask for it back. And her signing bonus, Marcus added. 40,000. Just gave it over. He gave a harsh laugh. Who does that? She still thinks we're a real family. It's almost sad. Janice didn't laugh. Her voice was tight. Don't talk about your sister that way. She's naive, Mom. She thinks showing up with Stu means something. I couldn't move. Couldn't blink. I saw myself, there, again and again, arms full, heart open, never suspecting I was being drained dry. Harold spoke, steady. Will. I hate lying to her, Janice said quietly. It's not lying, Marcus shot back. It's family. Her money is family money. She's got no husband, no kids. What's she spending it on anyway? That condo? The condo I'd sacrificed for. The one facing Balboa Park, with a door that locked. The only place that was mine. She'll be fine, Harold said, finalizing a gavel. She always handles things. That's who she is. Janice's voice wavered. Are you sure there's no other way? Marcus's voice dropped. Unless you want me in prison for fraud. No. This is it. My lawyer says if I pay it back soon, it might stay civil. Tax evasion. Fraud. My brother, the one they bragged about to neighbors, co-workers, strangers at the farmer's market, he wasn't just struggling, he was breaking the law and they were ready to make me pay for it. I stepped back from the door, careful not to hit the loose brick. My hands were slick with sweat. The pot nearly slipped. I caught it in time. No noise. No sign I'd been there. I couldn't let them know I'd heard. I somehow reached my car without falling apart. That surprised me. My legs felt hollow, like I was floating above the pavement. The stew sat on my lap, cooling, like a joke I didn't get anymore. Didn't drive off right away. I sat there, listening to cicadas and the occasional car passing through the San Diego night. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. A text from Janice. "Where are you, sweetie? Dinner's ready." My thumb hovered. Then I typed, "Sorry, got called into work, urgent audit, rain check." 3 dots blinked. Then came her reply, "Can it wait?" I knew what she'd say next. The roof. Just like they planned. "Sorry, Mom, boss says it's urgent, love you." I didn't drive home. Not yet. I just drove. Past gas stations, taco shops, neighborhoods where nobody knew me. I needed movement, not memories. By the time I pulled into my apartment garage, the stew had gone cold. I left it on the seat and went upstairs empty-handed. Inside, I didn't turn the lights on. I stood by the window, watching city lights flicker through palm leaves, and felt something crack open inside me. Not anger, not yet. Just a tired clarity. I'd given them 40 grand the year I graduated, then lived on cheap noodles and coffee. I'd given Marcus 20,000 when his business failed. Paid for anniversaries when money was tight. I never asked for it back. I thought that's what daughters did. What sisters did. What family did. But now I knew the truth. They never saw it as kindness. They saw it as surrender. By the time I went to bed, a plan was forming. Quiet, resolute, sharp. I wasn't about to let them know I knew. Not yet. The next morning, I skipped coffee. I made moves instead. I sat at my kitchen table, logged into every account, checking, savings, investments, even my old 401k from my first job in San Francisco. I transferred every dollar into new banks, ones my family didn't know. Then I called customer service lines, set fraud alerts, froze every joint account, changed every password, added 2-factor authentication, and updated security questions. My phone buzzed non-stop. Calls from Janice, Harold, Marcus. I ignored them all. Instead, I emailed my boss, Susan Richards. The subject line was simple. Personal, urgent. Susan was sharp, mid-50s, no kids, the kind of woman who looked like she'd fought every battle and won. When I stepped into her office, she didn't smile, just motioned for me to sit. "I need advice," I said. "Not legal, not yet, but personal, and it might affect my work." She nodded. "Go on." I told her everything. The conversation I'd overheard, the money I'd given over the years, Marcus's fraud, the plan they'd made, and my own plan to vanish. At least financially. Susan listened, arms crossed, her face growing darker with each detail. When I finished, she leaned closer. "First, you're handling this better than most. Second, you need a lawyer. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because they might twist it. Third, you need records. Every dollar, every ask. Document everything." I opened the spreadsheet I'd started last night. 5 years of transfers, dates, notes, like Marcus's emergency and Mom's medical bill. Susan gave a low whistle. "That's almost 200 grand. My throat tightened. I couldn't speak. Susan softened. "One more thing. There's an opening in our London office. Same title. Better pay, and an ocean between you and this mess." "London?" I whispered. "You'd have support. We'd handle your move." I didn't answer. If you're holding your breath to see whether Melanie takes the leap to London or faces her family head-on, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next chapter of her story. Not yet. But something in me shifted. That afternoon, Marcus finally got through. I don't even know why I answered. Maybe I wanted to hear how he'd spin it. "Jesus, Melanie," he said, "where have you been?" "Working," I said flatly. "At that job you think prints money." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm busy. What do you want?" "We need to talk as a family." "I can't. I have plans." "More important than family?" I didn't hesitate. The kind where people aren't scheming to steal 300 grand? Silence. "I don't know what you're talking about," Marcus finally said. "Tax evasion, fraud. You were going to let me pay for it." He let out a forced laugh. "So you were listening." I was bringing stew, I snapped. Remember family dinner? That thing you said I was naive enough to believe in? Melanie, listen. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You planned it. You told them to cry if they had to. You called me naive. I'm in trouble. You should have thought of that before you broke federal law. You're really going to let me go to prison over money? Money you can afford. I closed my eyes. I couldn't afford the 40 grand I gave Mom and Dad, or the 20 I gave you. I couldn't afford any of it, but I gave it because I thought that's what family did. Silence. Heavy. I'm begging you, he said. Then beg someone else. I hung up. The texts started immediately. From Marcus, from Janice, from Harold. I ignored them. On Wednesday, there was a knock at the office lobby. Janice stood there, looking older, hair loose, eyes red. She slipped past security and found me near the elevators. Melanie, please, just talk to me. I stood there, in my navy blazer and heels, marble floors cold beneath my shoes, while my mother cried. We can talk, I said. Right here. She flinched. Can't we go somewhere private? About Marcus being in trouble? I know, fraud. Tax evasion, I said. Janice's eyes filled with tears. He told me he made mistakes. But he's your brother. No, I said. He's your son. You help him. We don't have the money, you know that. Then maybe he shouldn't have committed a felony. Her voice broke. How can you be so cold? This isn't like you. You're right. The old me would have written the check. The old me thought love meant sacrifice. The old me believed you when you said family helps family. She looked confused. What are you saying? I'm saying the old me died on your porch that night. She went still. You don't mean that. I leaned closer, voice low. You said I'd never say no. That I didn't know how the real world works. That I'd melt when you cried. This time, her tears were real, not performative, real fear. We were desperate, she whispered. No, you were greedy. There's a difference. She reached for my hand. I stepped back, and I left her standing there in the lobby beneath the gold letters of my firm's name. I didn't look back. Thursday passed in silence. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. For a moment, I thought it might be over, that they finally understood. But Friday afternoon, as I was packing my desk, the receptionist buzzed. Melanie, there's someone from legal downstairs, a process server. My stomach twisted. Then I exhaled. Send him up. He arrived with a manila envelope. No eye contact, no words, just a scribbled signature and a quiet exit. Inside was a formal complaint. My parents were suing me. They claimed the money I'd given them over the years were loans, that I was demanding repayment, causing them emotional distress and financial trouble by cutting off contact. It was absurd, so absurd I laughed at my desk, not sharp, hollow, the sound that comes when disbelief turns to exhaustion. They weren't just trying to guilt me. They're trying to punish me. I called Carol Kim, the attorney Susan had recommended. Efficient, direct. I scanned and emailed her the documents. Carol called me back 10 minutes later. They have no case, she said. No contracts, no paperwork, nothing proving any of this was a loan. It's textbook harassment. Can we counter? I asked. We could sue for damages, emotional distress, even defamation. I hesitated. The idea made me feel sick. No, I said. I don't want their money. I just want them out of my life. There was a long pause, then Carol said gently, Understood. I shut the folder, slid it into my drawer, and locked it. That weekend, I started packing, not just for London, but for a life without people who saw me as a checkbook in heels. The movers were scheduled for Tuesday. All weekend, I sorted boxes of things I'd once thought I'd keep forever, cookbooks with Janice's handwriting in the margins, framed holiday photos where I was always behind the camera. I wrapped them carefully, then left most behind. Sunday morning, Marcus called again. The number was unfamiliar. Without thinking, I answered. You're really going to let me go to prison? He said. I'm not letting you do anything, I said. You're going because you committed crimes. His voice cracked. I could lose everything. I already have, I said. My family, my trust, my belief that you cared about me as a person, not just as a wallet. Silence. I was scared, he said. I didn't know what else to do. You planned it, you laughed about it, you coached them on how to lie to me. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't think about me at all. He tried again. Melanie, please, I'm begging you. I already told you. Beg someone else. I'm done. I hung up and blocked the number. No more calls came, no more texts. They finally realized the door was shut. On Monday, I stood in my half-empty San Diego apartment, looking at the life I'd built. Every inch earned, every dollar fought for. I didn't cry. I zipped my last bag and taped a note for the movers. London, 2-bedroom, facing the river. That night, I slept better than I had in years. Not because everything was fixed, but because I'd stopped pretending. Early the next morning, while packing up my kitchen, I found it tucked behind old baking pans and a chip pie dish I hadn't touched in ages. The stew pot. Still clean, still heavy, the same one I'd carried that Saturday night, full of warmth and hope and rosemary and beef, believing I was walking into love. I ran my fingers along its edge. It was just steel and enamel. But somehow, it held everything. Every dinner I'd prepared, every chance I'd given, every way they'd drained me dry while smiling to my face. I didn't cry. I just picked it up, turned, and dropped it into the kitchen trash. The clang wasn't even loud. At the airport, boarding pass in hand, I got one last text from a number I didn't recognize, but I knew who it was. Janice. I'm sorry, not for needing help, but for how we tried to get it. You deserved better. I hope one day you can forgive us. I stared at it a long time, then typed back, I hope someday you can deserve forgiveness. I shut off my phone and walked toward my gate. 6 months later, the message came through Carol. Marcus had been sentenced. 18 months in federal prison, tax evasion, wire fraud, attempted concealment of assets. My parents had sold their house in San Diego to cover legal fees, lost most of it anyway. They were living with my aunt in Florida now. I didn't feel satisfaction, or guilt, or even anger. They'd become names, people from a life I no longer lived. In London, the sky shifted constantly, gray to silver, then nearly warm. I had a corner flat with brick walls and a river view. I'd made friends, good ones, colleagues who valued me for more than a signature on a check. Sometimes, on quiet Sundays, I still made stew, just for me. Not because I missed them, but because I remembered the woman who believed showing up with food was the same as showing up with love. That woman was gone. In her place stood someone different. Someone who knew that love without respect is debt in disguise. That walking away isn't giving up. It's remembering who you are. And sometimes, the only person who truly shows up for you is you. If you've ever stood outside a door with warmth in your hands and hope in your chest, only to hear a truth that shattered you, I see you. You don't owe anyone an apology for saving yourself. If you've ever been the one who gave quietly, drop one word you wish they'd said to you. Just choosing myself at last, and I hope you will too. Tell me in the comments what advice you'd give me, or share the moment you stood up for your worth. Let's remind each other, love isn't sacrifice without respect. Subscribe and walk this new path with me.